Welcome back to Challengers Relegation or Promotion. We might find out after this map which one might begin with the other. I'm Keg and this is THNK. We're at map number 3 of a relatively unknown name going up against a well-established Challengers team that is struggling to get past Ascent.
Yeah, Thinking Men dropping this map for the third time this season, this time to Resonate 11-13. Both halves a slow start for this squad. They just could not figure out how to match up against this Resonate team. Whether it was Conti throwing up some barrier orbs to, completely force this team to a different site or a different room, or if it was one of these duelists just going absolutely crazy from either from either heaven or tree. We saw a lot of star moments from these Resonate players, and a lot of just great map knowledge come from them. But does that permeate onto map 3?
That's going to be a tough call. We talked about on Ascent how this is a very well common scrimmed and played map that everyone knows how to beat and play with the default 5 agents that are brought out. But with the new ingredients added to the cauldron, there's a lot more unknowns that might catch Resonate off. We talked about how Thinking Men, they might have the experience buff here that might be able to have them pull through into the third map. But for Ascent, this was an even terrain, it feels like. And wow, the post plans were pretty much even.
I'm not surprised, honestly.
Yeah.
Just because Resonate, they found a lot of that early on, before Thinking Men could try to start countering it with the speed that we know them for. And then Thinking Men, once they got onto their attacking side, it did take a second, but once they found that consistent rhythm, particularly on A, they really couldn't be denied either. Just playing for that distance that they were able to very consistently. It was pretty close, but it came down to denial for Resonate. That's how they won their rounds. That's how they won the last round. They're able to put a stop to whenever Thinking Men actually acts on an idea. And to their credit, Resonate also hasn't had very big pockets of time to initiate, and Thinking Men has been able to punish on a lot of those. But again, that just means for Bind, it's going to be a lot of intel seeking, a lot of simple peeking, a lot of looking for first bloods to turn that into whatever momentum you can carry through the rest of the round.
I want to highlight that on Ascent, Paint went 12-21, a very rare underperformance coming out from him. Remember, he was a star player last year. Everyone thought he'd be the next big duelist. But now, this was not the best map in showing from him, but I'm glad you mentioned about the tempo and speed. Split turned into a very fast map when it came to Thinking Men. Ascent, you don't really ever get to see a fast Ascent realistically compared to other maps, but Bind, from what we've seen from Thinking Men, usually just devolves into chaos, and that's where Paint excels the most. He had to play Jet that second map. This time, he's going to play Raze. This will be much more to his benefit, and he's got to make that judge shine again.
I would love to see it. I would love to see some flashes from Resonate. I would love to see how they can open sites up when they have a little more time to act on them. I would love to see them isolate players in not such a dry manner, where if you just give them enough time, they're able to kind of just gate crash their way through and make it a 5v5 again. I would love to see a lot of little cleanups from both of these teams, and on Bind, it's a really good template to do that on. A lot of fights are taken in little breaths. You kind of do a breathstroke when you play Bind and push. You gotta take your breath. You gotta go under. You gotta play RU util. You gotta take a space. You gotta come back up, and you gotta go right back under again, and then you gotta plant. That's a whole different beast. But luckily, with the new composition that Thinking Men is running, we might not have to see that, because they were running Gecko the last time they played this map, and it worked out pretty okay. And I've been loving watching Gecko on Bind recently in the higher levels as well. I think he's been a great addition as long as your timing is valid. And I mean, at this point, map 3 with both of these teams just looking for those perfect pockets, that's very possible.
I mean, how do you avoid that utility, right? How do you avoid that fast speed and info gathering early on? A lot of attacking teams will begin with rotating back and forth, back and forth. That's the entire point of Bind. You have those teleporters. But Thinking Men's a very unique team where they always have those steadfast anchors. They almost never fully give up a site, and that could be a gigantic thorn in the side of Resonate. This will be a great test to see if they've done their homework. For the first 2 maps, kind of looks like they did. Maybe not so much for Split, but for Ascent, absolutely. But for Bind, that's a really tough call. You have to know how Thinking Men want to play and already come into this map knowing how to beat it if you want to make it farther into the upper bracket.
And for that, I mean, going against Blinn as well after this in the winner's bracket, which we now know as Blinn was able to 2-0 Glazers over on our B stream. They're waiting right now for whoever wins this map, and you're going to have to do the same thing over and over again. You're going to have to get those reads. You're going to have to have studied that film, and you're going to have to have done your homework. Understanding just how this team ticks is so important to understanding how to play it on Bind. And I believe who's starting on defense. I know that I think it's Resonate starting on defense. But don't quote me on that.
It's important to know that we don't know what Resonate's going to rock on this map either.
True. Yeah, we have no idea.
Yeah, like it could be anything. And that's the reason why we don't know is because through Premier, this already being a relatively new team with role and player swaps into Premier, there hasn't been a lot of footage to work off of. So this will be a big advantage coming in from Resonate's side. They can't be counter-stratted immediately. And we've seen, again, those gears turn for Thinking Men, that sometimes it takes 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 rounds for them to find that advantage. But Resonate, though, they're going to play it safe. They're going to go for a pretty default comp that we see a lot on this map. Big note, the Sky. That'll be huge for a lot of stall procedures coming out from Resonate's and the Viper as well. Thinking Men, though, the Gecko does return. Sadly, no, Reform not going to be rocking the Yoru. I was kind of hoping to see. But double stall, good aggression for the attacking side off of that Gecko. This is going to be a very explosive first half.
Meanwhile, Resonate sticking with the comp that they have been running through the Premier play-in here on Bind, and it's a pretty conventional comp in this patch as well. Conti no longer on that Sage, going to be playing that Viper, and here on defense, I think that's integral especially in this patch. I think you have a lot more enabling power. You have a true flash. You have Velis able to play more than one smoke at once. You can play with more than one leg at a time here if you're Resonate. And if you're Thinking Men, you have to respect that way differently than you respected Resonate beforehand, who were able to play as that stack. There's a lot more fluidity in this defense, the same way that Thinking Men have been able to play their defenses. And so hopefully they've done their homework on themselves too.
Keep a very careful eye on KHS this half. All those trips that he puts down are designed to shut down paint specifically. Look how far deep that is into lamps. Thinking Men, they love to overextend when they take that site, go through lamps straight into spawn. Won't be the case this round, though. At least not in the beginning. But this explosive first round, I should say, will be huge for split push. And this split push was actually an adaptation that they had found way late in the Challengers, I believe against Fluffy Aimers, where they were able to split push eventually over and bait out that flash util on B long in order to rotate back over to A. But here's the big thing, though. Resonate, they're aware of that, too. Double cross contact inside of Hookah. It's meant to be this pincer against Thinking Men so early on. No Viper Wall to stall either. This could be a free entry in. Cyphercam's not going to hide itself whatsoever. It's just a matter now of seeing whether or not Thinking Men are going to opt to go into this, or if they want to rotate through the teleporter to the A site. There's that lurk presence on A. Not going for it yet, but that's the entry.
Yeah, they're going to go for a huge blind there to let paint enter, but the rest of Resonate still in Hookah is able to watch very easily, able to take the rest of the team out, and Reformed's flank will not do anything either. And so Resonate is simply just holding the right spot this time around is going to get them the dub there.
Yeah, definitely a little overconfidence from Thinking Men, realizing Viper Wall was not placed on Octagon, not towards long whatsoever. Should have been a fast and easy entry for the majority of Thinking Men, but it was exactly designed as planned. Resonate, they know full well by now how Thinking Men want to play, especially on their attack. Explosive, emotional, and really just want these early wins. But now Resonate, they can build that economy up so much more.
Oh yeah, if there's a time to snowball, it's definitely now. The pistols have been their strong suit this series so far, and the pistols have been the place where they can find the biggest power imbalance, especially when they had Conti on Sage. Now that's not as accelerated, but still playing the defense on Bind and not having that Gecko in your pocket and instead, having that Brim available, definitely makes you feel a little bit better just for that pure stoppage. Thinking Men, yeah, not much to say about that. I mean, they entered through one channel. They got punished for it. Like, there's not much to say. They just need to find more places to isolate fights and win them.
I mean, it really comes down to whether or not Thinking Men want to start playing the rotate game on this map that It seems like about 3 or 4 rounds in, everyone does.
They were thinking about it for a second there, I think, but
oh yeah, absolutely.
At some point, you just have to acknowledge that you're gonna get kind of the same amount of fight no matter where you poke, and it's not like they were goading anybody over with that rotation. Like they were not gonna get any more players from Resonate there immediately. They kind of had to take what was in front of them, and with only that Dizzy really to gain information, and the dog as well, of course, but that was already cleaned out. You kind of, again, you got to deal with what's in front of you, and then the rest, we'll see about that, man.
I mean, early win condition right now from Thinkyman has to be draining out Kaho's utility. Sky Flashes no longer regenerate. Only 2 of them can be brought out on B long. Taking that presence there on Fountain is a great procedure to enable that split push towards A. And we see how Thinkyman can take A-side control, especially Paint. Smokes go down everywhere, and it's all around chaos. Of course, Resonate, they want to do the same thing when they swap sides too. Having Brim out for those burst executes, this should just be a brawly affair no matter what. Thinkyman cannot have that opening pick against them before the execute.
And again, that's where Resonate feel comfortable. Even when you hit bonus, even when you hit these full buys, Resonate are going to be the one holding all the cards for this opening 5, 6, 7 at least. Rotations irregardless. And
I like that word.
Oh, thank you.
It's like irrigation. Wait, there's no irrigation on this map.
That's true.
Huh.
Man.
Unlucky.
Thank God everything is imported.
Yeah.
Got everything you need. You got
this is nice.
Spices.
Oh, but this is the sugar spice and everything nice right here, dude. Look at this. The camera's out, designed to purposely trap in. They know exactly how Thinkyman want to entry this site. They've read into this. This is great counterplay.
Love these duos that are just controlling these little packets of the site. Another duel 1 here. That Kanzi's just going to finalize, and this is just some extra homework for Resonate. 1 down, but that's all they'll find. Again, just not enough options for Thinkyman to work off of there.
I mean, the conditioning's beginning now from Resonate that if Thinkyman want to push A, or realistically now any site, they can't push slowly. They can't just trail along their Viper wall. The Cypher util is in very unpredictable places, just like the cam you see put down. And the tripwires are great to prevent any overextensions once more. I mean, first round, KAHS placed it bottom of lamps, made sure no one could go spawn. Now, the entire idea is, Thinkyman, they like to take A main control, not necessarily showers. That's going to make the tripwires even more difficult to take back that space. Paint's isolated.
And gone. And ultimately, I don't think you're happy with that if you're Thinkyman.
Absolutely not. You need Paint alive. Now you can't necessarily push in and get that space.
Yeah, Lear's
at 1 HP.
So much more work, and at 1 HP, it's so hard to do. And so your other initiators got to pick up the pieces as well. Vix is playing more mid-site than I would ever imagine. Now
the
back
flank.
to Showers to support. And
no
this
Sentinel.
From short, there's nobody to watch this. There's only a smoke and a screen in your way, and Reformed hoping that he can catch this before it becomes too much of a problem. And with the help of the smoke, it won't be. Velis has to invade in order to make a statement, but not watched. Just in time, Anderson checks it. Heading into lamps, that's read pretty easily as well. And so Thinkyman can clean up the rest, keep 4 alive to grab their bonus.
Yeah, great recognition coming out from Resonate. Finding no Sentinel, no KJ, no Deadlock, nothing really that could stop that big gigantic flank. And that's going to make things a little bit more difficult too for the post plans for Thinkyman. They always have to have at least one person dedicated to the back lines watching to see if Velos will rotate yet again for the flank. And this has to mean now these early rounds need to be slow for Thinkyman. They can't play a strong, fast early game. Paint's been punished every time. They have to wait out for that utility, the info gathering from Kaho, then push in once they don't have anything to work off of. They're doing it right now. Double smokes come down on B long. The smoke, the paranoia, sure. Fast entry again. This is perfect for Kaho though. But it's bait. Faking a presence over. The heals out. Now later rounds, Lear won't have as many heals anymore. All baited back over for the rotate onto A site. Both flashes from Kaho used now. As long as they cut noise and wait for a last second execute, this should be a round for Thinkyman. Surely they don't push A off at this. They have to take teleporter back over to B.
Yeah, there's no way they fully commit to this. Well, they're smoking heaven. Paint shells thrown onto where they imagine trapwires will be. They are not. There's just too many options for Reformed here. But the trapwires are shot out. Venomous Orb to get them through to Lamps. Thinking Men have taken up a good amount of space here. Andrew had no reliable way to hold it down. Blind to make sure the rest of site is cleared. Out we walk through Lamps, and Paint's going to use that to get an opening too, but Conti's still hanging around, can try and initiate with the rest of that util, but the rest of Thinking Men should have this pretty figured out, especially with that spike ticking down. Rest of the team will fall, and so Thinking Men, they keep more than enough alive to go off of here in this first half.
Great disassembly, and that's all just a timing play from Thinking Men.
That was great.
Like we mentioned before, Resonate, they used their Sky Flashes way too early. They thought for sure, okay, we can see if they cut noise and they're just holding B for the re-exec. Not the case. This is a big lesson for Kaho now, that you cannot use those flashes super early on. And there needs to be a more proactive presence for Resonate on A main. They're giving up way too much space quickly, and that's the answer from KHS. Early spy cam to make sure no one can trail up that wall again. This is the default that I like.
Yeah, see, what does it take?
This is what Thinking Men does every time. They want to bait out anything they possibly can. This is such an easy map to fake out a defending team. You can make a team over-rotate so easily. And that over-rotation, if Resonate does it, will be the experience dip between the two teams. Thinking Men won't do that on the defense.
Beefy Boombot there.
Yeah.
That, takes a couple extra shots
Heavy
for
shields.
He'll finally duck out.
That's one flash used.
We got
Now
one
look
more
at this.
here.
Velas is camping the TP this time, waiting to see if it's an exec towards A instead.
Mollying out backside. Yeah, so it's another full execute here. Thinking Men just feel so confident in how much util they throw into the pot, and with the fact that Resonate is being forced to throw in util based off of Thinking Men kind of just poking sight, they feel confident in being able to trade that out. Andrew, good pain shells. Ricochets into Lear, so Scrubble Bubble will be forced to take this post-plant fight a little bit early. Sand smokes as well. Leaves the room for Velas to take the next, and now we begin the shuffle, the cycle, the paint extravaganza. 4 for the Rays, and the lead for Thinking Men.
Ooh, I love these fake outs that Thinking Men are doing. They're not even activating the teleporter, but you saw the response. Velas holding the A side Showers TP, waiting to see that inevitable full 5-man rotation off of, into Showers, and allowing Velas to get the one and done. But instead, it's a fake out from Thinking Men. They're just pushing straight in. They're not playing to the expectations that they normally do or what Resonate want. And how the lockdown response from KHS on B should be good for anti-paint. 4-stack gamble on A. Not willing to give up A site this time. A retake on B could be easier.
We're gonna throw in Thrash to Hookah here. Still gets hit by that trap wire. They know how much of this presence is here, and Reformed is gonna confirm how much of the rest is over on A site. 3 TP, including a showstopper that Andrew discombobulated in time for Paint to trade it out. Ult for ult. KHS, though, the Dizzy through the smoke, he can just spray through it. Good for 2. And Scrubble Bubble can't do a damn thing. Resonate, clear house in some very fun ways to tie us back up.
I mean, that's such a great read from Resonate too. We asked before we went into this map, okay, did they do their homework going into this? And yes, they did. The only times you will see Scrubble Bubble go for his Omenal will be backside, elbow, or spawn for B. He never does it anywhere else. So KHS holding back, waiting for that TP and putting that pressure onto the Omen, allowing the spawn retread back over from A site is such a good way to shut down this Omen ult in the future. It's an even game now. Viperwall now brought down towards Showers. Expectation now from Resonate is that this should be an A side push. This will be great for the post plant too, shutting down A. But now it's just the default everywhere. Thinking Men. They want to drain util and look for that opening pick before they decide what they want to do. They want to go for a last-second execute.
Establishing this opening pace was so good for the rounds that Thinking Men have found advantages in. And it's good just for the sake of attack on bind in the first place, seeing what
Absolutely.
else you can bait out. Resonate obviously are going to get more stalwart as the game goes on, but then it becomes about playing that mental. How much do you want to get rid of? How much do you think you should get rid of? How well can I play into that based off of things? Thinking men a lot running through their minds.
Vix and Lear have a lot of utility to stall out these tripwires too.
Yeah.
Doesn't necessarily mean Paint has to be trapped in by them. Seeker's available now, checking out front sight. Shower's now completely isolated. Oh, Paint! A misplay! Oh, a misplay off the blast packs. He hit the car. Unlucky.
Ate that truck, bro. Gun spotted for Conti. Easy next kill onto Vix. The dominoes should fall from here, no? Seekers just for good measure. Paint shells as well. We're taking our sweet little time and enacting onto these last two, but that's just because we want the rest of Resonate to get here so that nobody else drops. No one else will, and Resonate keep 4 stable this time. That is, I think, the 4th round in a row that's been the case for either of these teams, and they'll take back the lead.
Yeah, I mean, this is just a battle of post plants, isn't it?
Dominant post plants.
And this is even going against like the expectations of Resonate too. They fully expected that split push towards A. Entire reason why that Viper wall is there. Of course, post plant it helps as well, but stall procedure is not even necessary. A big misplay coming out from Paint that last round. No timeout just yet. Oh, never mind. Timeout's yet. Well, okay. So in the back of my mind, I'm like, okay, I think they're gonna go for a timeout here.
Yeah, you were feeling the tremors.
Well, it's hard, right? Because you're map 3 now. You're thinking, okay, if we really mess this up, we're gonna go to the lower bracket and putting ourselves much closer to, being relegated.
Yeah.
But thinking, man, this is not like an emotional timeout. This is a strat change that desperately needs to happen. If I'm thinking, man, I'm looking to change the pace a lot more. Confidence for thinking men is when they go for those fast plays. The more they give time to themselves to deduce how they want to push a site, the more confident Resonate becomes. They cannot allow any breathing room for this team. Plus, also, you're giving a timeout to Resonate too.
It's true. And if there's one thing that Resonate doesn't need, it's more time.
Yeah, so they are probably going to play proactive in response to that. Resonate, whenever Thinking Men go for a timeout, redo their strats completely. They play to what they assume the counterplay of the remade strats of Thinking Men will be. It's like 4D chess. But they did that on Split, they did that on Ascent, and it worked very well on Ascent. Yes. And so now the call here is, again, play for A-side stall, 3-stack on B, and this should be Conti bringing up Viper's Pit on B long. Oh! A little bit more inwards than usual.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's going to come and bite them back later, because that could be a free... Oh, it's not. I was going to say that might be free access from Hookah into down below. No. But Kaho should have that line of sight angle.
You could... you are still available to play to TP if you're thinking men, though, which is why Pain is here.
Oh, but if Pain falls, that's going to be so hard to take A-side control.
Yeah, you're able to enact such more, so much more aggression onto Long immediately after that, especially with the help of the pit. There's no telling where Conti can go, and so thinking, man, they can't really do a lot of moving from here.
The stall right now from Reformed, he has to push up. They're waiting on that Viper to take space.
There it is. Paranoia will not catch Kaho, but Dizzy will. Andrew's paint shells, though, are just going to catch whoever moves in first. It's Anderson, and now we just spray and pray. Why the hell not? Yeah, absolutely nothing is going to develop from this. Thinking
big mistiming.
Yeah, I really don't know. Oh, buddy.
Oh. Five Nights at Reformed. I mean, it's a big issue though, right? Reformed all throughout Challengers has been such a good lurker.
30 seconds left.
Like more often than not, he's not shut down with these very wide-in plays, and oftentimes he's the playmaker for Thinking Men to convert these rounds. But he's playing the A so slowly, and he's not finding any sort of response. He has to play faster now or don't lurk at all.
It's so troubling because Thinking Men has to confirm whatever site Cypher isn't on, and then that dictates the tempo at which Reformed can lurk. And so you're never really able to play both of these pushes in tandem with each other. They've almost always got to be a little stuttered. And so especially if Reformed is slow and the rest of Thinking Men are going to go for this like blitzkrieg strategy of let's just dive into this Viper's Pit, see if we can find our one, throw all of our util at the floor and see what we can do. I see no way in which Reformed can perform that round.
I agree, But you can use that as bait to make Resonate rotate over to that lurk.
I mean, is KHS going to see Reformed on his camera and panic? I don't think
Well,
so.
when there's 2 left alive, no. But if there's 5 left alive,
That's
and
true.
they go in brazenly.
Yeah, if you're just watching Lamps, you have no other opening to watch. I guess you can be a little scared, but if Thinking Men have been as stalwart on their rotations as Resonate could be, then they could do the exact same thing. Of course, Thinking Men getting a little bit stuck here, but KHS will be the one to over-aggress this time. Leads to Vix getting a free one out of that, and Thinking Men, they're able to circumvent all this damage over at TP. Make this site their own. Bit of a weird skirmish, but Velis with this flank is going to at least get a freebie. Yeah, with an ultimate too, you can reserve a lot of space here, even without any help. First smoke, Anderson's just going to walk through this, no?
Oh, no.
Yep.
Had that smoke been an ultimate instead, I think that could have been a winning round. That would have isolated Scrubble at the bare minimum, let alone possibly take him out. Now, you could argue he could have teleported over towards green boxes, and yeah, he could have. But more likely than not, that could have been a 1v1 that Velis could have taken. But now, Thinking Men, the gears are turning again. They're playing much more aggressive than before. They're changing up that pace, and they're pushing lanes that they normally don't. And so now the response from Resonate is to put that stack up on B. Expectations of that, Thinking Men won't do the same thing twice. And they're faking all this utility, and they're going to take that slow trek back over. But remember, THNK, what you mentioned. There's that camera. They have to figure out what that camera is, or this fake will never be sold. The timing alone with that tripwire broken already means this should be a rotate any second from now.
There's Thrash. And yeah, the ultimate to deny. Very early orbital strike. But
Create
it
space,
seems like
I guess.
they're preparing for the push. Yeah, I mean, they're already on site, but KHS has got it covered, doesn't he? Wow. 2 gone. Vix has trouble winning the fight at Lamps. KHS has no trouble winning his extra fight against Reformed. So now all the presence you have is over at Lamps, and
Got you.
KHS is so bored, he's just pulling out camera to make sure that everyone has their intel.
You know what? You won't be able to do that next patch. The camera will make that sound. Or next patch in this. Honestly, that would be a huge game difference on A site if it was the patch where Cypher can make sound.
Yeah.
Because then that would be more consistency of destroying the camera and knowing where it's at.
That's true.
I killed them.
You don't have as much of an opening for lurkers like Reformed to catch you.
But you know what? They don't have to worry about that yet.
Yeah, exactly. If KHS is getting triple kills anyway, it doesn't matter as well. Even if this was a new patch.
Yeah.
He's doing just fine anyway. Now, Andrew with a showstopper too. Thinking Men on a half buy here. This is a little bit rough.
Double blast pack showstopper right at the beginning, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what I'm feeling.
Oh, they're waiting for any audio before doing it. He's going to rotate the showers and then use showstopper.
I think Andrew wants an audience for this one. Seeing some B action.
We're an audience.
Velis first shutdown. So many first bloods going the way of Resonate so far. This is really impressive.
Biggest win condition they could possibly have. Both teams gain their momentum off of those first picks.
Oh, there it is. Andrew's going to use it based off of the dog. And just wait.
Oh, that timing.
Lear, you are bold for this, brother. Oh, but he gets around it. He doesn't take a lick of damage.
That's amazing. For sure, he thought that the Rays had rotated back over to showers to take the fight there.
Instead, this Viper screen doing all the work in the world of making sure that Thinking Men can get back to Lamps. This was one of their big win conditions in the previous round, and now with the Viper's Pit, seems like they really just want to build off of that. 4v4, and Spike coming down. A flank watch this time as well, with Paint checking for Conti as long as he's here in time. Oh yeah, Conti's not watching. Easy kill for Paint. 3v4 now as the rest of Resonate tries to enter at the same time. But it's not gonna happen for anybody. Velis and Kaho waiting for something. A train that'll never come. They gotta enact themselves. First body spotted, and second as well. Pretty easy pick'ems for Thinking Men there. One more chance to tie it up.
Before the switch.
And each of these maps have just become more and more competitive at the half. I mean, split, really not competitive. Okay, interesting. Honestly, I don't mind this timeout. The finish I thought from before, I believe it was 7-5 on Ascend. Now, looking like it could go 6-6, could go 7-5 still off of this timeout. But this timeout last second is really interesting. Resonate want to confirm, of course, the 7th round, but they also want to focus on the second half. They want to figure out by now, okay, this is what Thinking Men want to accomplish. This is what they're doing. How do we want to break it? But you can't really go into the nitty gritty until you actually swap sides. So I'm really curious to see what Resonate want to do here. They may just 5-stack A site. This has been the more consistent site now that Thinking Men are able to take. And a retake on B is not impossible. Kaho's close to getting the Seekers as well. KHS, same thing with Neural Theft. There's a lot of info gathering capabilities to give up B site and play for retake.
Yeah, Thinking Men might trip over themselves on the way there too. Paint's showstopper, if you give room for that early on, then Resonate have got to be super comfortable with countering him. But yeah, they'll stack B instead.
This is smart. They trust KHS so much, and the Viper returns back. Okay, so no real strat changes this time, other than a big amount of aggression B main. That's gonna be a fast flank.
Yeah, they're already watching Sand. As Thinking Men consider this.
Oh, this is a nice sandwich.
Get around the trap wires, KHS. My God. Yet again, gets it done. Truck at least is figured out, but like you said, the speed of this flank is kind of nuts. That being said, Thinking Men kind of recognize that there is a distinct lack of this team. Oh, but with the help of the Stim Beacon, it might not matter. Everyone from Resonate is primed, reformed against the world, and somehow wins that bout against Andrew, but so much more careening towards him. A smoke is well tossed on top. Has got to just swing out. Can't make it happen. And so Resonate will grab a 7th. Nasty trap wires, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Great for anti-paint control. But I want to talk about that triple flank that we had seen. It was not a double or a triple swing when they made contact with Vix. Depending on, like, I suppose server stuff and like how much Vix was able to like process, I don't think he knew there was more than one person on the flank. All he may have seen was the contact of one, fell, and maybe saw a frame of Kaho in the process. But Thinking Men did not know there was more than one sandwiching them. That was a great last-second, one-time round maneuver that Thinking Men, they got heavily punished for.
Well, now we do swap sides. See if Resonate can maintain and get to these winners finals. If they do, we are guaranteed to not have the same two teams that got relegated get re-promoted again. At least one of them will get switched out for one of the two teams that are about that will play each other. If Resonate take this, it'll be them versus Blinn for that first of two spots in the mid-season cup and split 2
and
of
remember,
Challengers.
Thinking Men eliminated Blinn twice already. Back in the open qualifiers, they were the reason why Blinn didn't get into Challengers to begin with. But now Resonate, they might be the reason why Thinking Men don't come back into Challengers.
For Blinn to not
what is happening here?
Yeah, I'm really confused.
What is this
Resonate
team, dude?
is going all the way back to CT. They're chasing Anderson. There's no way. There's no way. There's no way.
They don't know about Conti. They don't know about Conti. This is huge. He could flank here on the sky. Not aware of their timing either. Spike is only going down now, but they know about showers. They go back to B. No way.
Wait a minute. They
no
get to
way,
TP,
dude.
And they go back to B. So now they can re-aggress onto Conti, or now Conti can push back, head over to Hookah, set up shop there. Rest of the team gets site for free. This is insane. There's so many layers to this attack. It's insane.
Such a good way of starting this.
They are completely discombobulated. Two of them are still stuck in A site. They don't know what to check. They have to go everywhere, and they have nothing to check off of. They have to make sure every single corner is clear, and they just can't. Resonate have the entire map to themselves. Oh, but they're not winning fights in the back. Still a little bit of space for these last two to act. Both on half health. Wingman's out to clear. Oh, but there's so much space still. It's done. Resonate. What a statement piece to open up this half.
Where to begin? Okay, first of all, where to begin? I think we've all underestimated Resonate. You know, look at the names like Van Lin, Zero Marksman Black, so many different teams that fought their way to get to this point in relegation. Resonate was probably at the bottom of my list that I thought would make it through. But wow, unbelievable gameplay from them so far. The trickery that we had seen, the confidence to do so, and most importantly, the coordination of this team has been on point the entire series. There's never been a round where they've looked lost.
Cage triggered.
Gamble stack on A. Back to B it goes. Cameras up and open. Do they know only one's on site? They will now.
Let's just go. Let's run it. Already Reformed having to give the plot away a little bit. See what damage they can do on the way. But Thinking Men, everybody's blocked out by this smoke and by this fight. Which, by the way, Viper still has 2 of. They could still play this for the post plant even easier than they already are. Paranoia on this site to try to clear a bit of it so that Thinking Men have a bit of an easier entrance into whoever retreats for it, but with the gun diff, it's still so difficult. Paint is good for a 2-piece, but that's all they'll get. Resonate bring it to 9.
We know more.
We talked about how Resonate may have struggled a little bit with their Viper walls. They had that flexibility, but they very rarely put it on B. But now, having KHS be the entry in for them, where he was once locking down B himself, is such a great alternative. And this stall isn't working. Thinking Men do not have a traditional Sentinel in their composition. They have to rely on Reform to be that Sentinel for the stalling. And so far, Resonate have completely disrespected his utility. This is a good default now. Resonate are waiting to see what adjustments Thinking Men can bring out. Early one-way in showers. A big tell that there has to be a presence there more often than not. And they're baiting out those sky flashes deep down B long. We talked about when sides were reversed, you gotta hold on to them. Or you won't have them for post-plant.
Both now just down to 1.
Got the spike.
Orb captured too. Not many options for Resonate to make some space back in. Paint, aggressive and ready. He can't overextend here.
Walks to the other side of the screen. Scrubble Bubble will now attempt to support, being so far up. And this is where Spike is, but it's not where the majority of the presence is. Paint, very cautious. Yeah, Andrew's got to wait for this rest of this team to come through to get this Spike safely down. And they've got some progress. Vix, unchecked just enough to grab a last kill, but it's going to be a 2v1, and Andrew takes that as the go sign to use the TP.
I think he might go back
for free.
Oh,
No, you don't have time. You don't have enough time, man.
He would have just barely.
You do have enough time to play with this spike tap because he doesn't know where these last 2 players are, and he has no real way of finding out. He will hear at least 1 in backhaul. Doesn't know that both of them are here and can't kill 1. Unfortunate, but that's a tough bonus for Thinking Men. Bit painful.
It's the same reasons why Resonate have been not converting attacking rounds on any map, giving way too much room and respect for Thinking Men, their positioning, and their utility. Both of these teams, again, they play so similarly on a macro level. They both want to get that first blood and push off on that. And if they can't get that early on into a round, they put themselves at a significant disadvantage. Both of these teams are super aggressive, dude. They will just keep pushing and pushing and pushing defensively until the attack happens, and by then you're already squashed. So Resonate, they have to make these rounds quick. They don't have a choice anymore.
Well, they have 2 ults on the verge. So it's a question of what are they willing to work off of? Do they just want to play for the guns? Do they want to play for the spacing? Do they want to play for the overpowering? It seems like they're just searching for something right now. KHS. It's this opening sight line.
It's all fake though on A site.
A defensive thrash from Vix will attain quite a few.
That double take
will force him out, but Reformed is here to pick up the pieces and grab 3. Beautiful combo that leaves the Spike stranded along the sand, and there goes basically any opportunity of Resonate taking this round unless they use this minute very, very wisely.
I got the spike.
2v5 now. Critical mistake making. That Vix had that thrash in hand. Anywhere would have been gigantic info. The best info that Thinking Men have. But the adjustment, though, of putting the Gecko, Vix back over on B side and having Lear on A provides so much information and Resonate to stop in their tracks to adjust. That they were frozen solid.
Left.
The double take from Vix, too, with that Thresh was amazing. If he'd not seen that info, this would have been a winning round from Resonate. They would have been caught so off guard. Of course, you can't rely on Thrash every round, though. So it might be a one and done. I wouldn't be surprised if Resonate bring out the same exact strat this next round without the Warrior Thrash.
10
Right,
seconds left.
yeah, we might just run it back the same way. No pun intended. But it will be a Thinking Men round this time. No need to challenge, in Resonate's opinion. There is not enough intel, there is not enough people, there is not enough firepower, there is not enough
Maybe the
anything.
quietest round I've ever heard end.
Yeah, everyone really chilled that time around. Thinking Men, they are locked in as well. And for good reason, because now they don't have that Thrash. They need to figure out a new way to counter that push, because it's going to come back, for sure.
Yeah, we mentioned that pressure before, too. Resonate, this is the best tournament they've ever been in. The highest level. And they're so close to moving forwards. But Thinking Men, they've won 2 rounds in a row, and they're inching closer to tie up this game. Andrew's got that showstopper. Split push towards B. This will be very fast. Or at least in theory, it should be. A slow crawl again. Smokes are down now, forcing out possibly that flash from Lear. Okay, they have to push past this wall, right?
Yeah. It's gotta be fast off the dog, right? Yeah, the orbital strike in the back just to open things up, and yeah, that's everything. Showstopper to get rid of what's beneath. And sight is cleared. 3v5 for Thinking Men to grab it back. And they do not have a lot of ways to open it up. They have a paranoia to at
Paints
least
one off.
Split the board. But other than that, they've got to go for the fights.
Pain has Boombot. Info gathered. One off showstopper.
When do you do it? I mean, everyone's stuck here. I already think there's not enough time.
You gotta make time. Rewind.
Invent a time machine. You guys can win this.
That's the
Okay.
agent.
Enemy
Winning
remaining.
some fights, but yeah, certainly not enough time to win this. Maybe find a kill. Dang, not even that. Anderson can't even finalize. So Resonate up to 10 after a decidedly strong attack round. Yeah, I mean, that worked out super well. Off the backs of 2 ults, of course, but that really stunts the eco.
I mean, so many bodies left alive there for Thinking Men. You have to wonder, is this becoming a communication issue? Not communicating where players potentially are or how to swing in as a team. I mean, Thinking Men's always been a team more individualistic once they send out that initial utility for the retakes and then kind of play their own game, try to go for trades when they can. But it's not nearly as coordinated as other teams and challengers. And for the most part, that's kind of worked, but it's also been their biggest weakness as a team. This is a timeout, though, from Resonate. This is interesting because they're not only up 3 rounds, they just won their last one. This is their way of just cooling themselves down and possibly just coming up with a brand new strat. Honestly, though, I wouldn't even come up with any new strat changes here. I would just use this as a breathing room. The nerves have to be kicking in for the team.
They've got to feel secure, but yeah, this timeout has got to be for taking a breath and also just establishing a path. Because you were in this position last game and we got to that 13-11 point. I think Resonate, they also want to make sure that Thinking Men, they can't even have that moment of respite, that room where they think they have a chance. How do you guarantee the next 3 rounds? How do you do it here and now?
Conti's got that Viper's Pit.
That's what I'm looking at more than anything else right now.
And Reformed has it too. You might be able to bait out Paint's ultimate with that. Oh, it's a ult. No?
Okay, wow.
Oh, sorry. I thought that was Paint. Paint always plays in lamps, so I'm like, hey, why aren't you showstoppering?
Hey, good looks, man. That's a good opener. That's actually really important. Because now you can flank if you really want to. But you don't want to just yet, because the push isn't completely finalized. A corpse thrown through TP, but the rest of Resonate looks pretty committed to A site with this bird thrown into lamps. Vix has kind of got to throw out the whole kit and caboodle in order to even make sure that he's safe until the rest of Thinking Men get here, which is going to take him a second, considering that the rotations are so dang slow. I mean, look at this. Lear is just really making sure no one is here. This is...
That util will exist post-plant.
Jeez.
It'll be barren. 1 smoke left for Velis. There it is. No smokes from Scrubble.
And now you're just going to have to play off the pit and the lamps, both of which are kind of tough to break with just one bird. Lear does not have the dog. So this has got to be a one and done and then raw push with whoever's in the back line. Nope. Kahu dips that. So this is into the unknown. Good find on the one. So you tap this,
spray.
right?
I've got
He's
your
looking
trail.
for, yeah, he's trying to see if he can like spot a camera that it's coming from. The Seeker will be forced, but it is still going to be a Resonate round.
That's a panic response there from Kaho.
Yeah, it is.
Honestly, if I'm thinking, man, I call a timeout here just to make sure Resonate can't come up with any strats at 12. That is absolutely something Thinking Man's coach would do.
Out of stuff.
You do it right away, make sure they can't reinvent themselves for the rest of the game, and it wouldn't be a bad option. But not the case now. Still gonna hold on.
Let's choke them.
These rounds absolutely getting scarier and scarier here. No Viper Spit to worry about here in the post plant. Broken by coming through from Thinking Men. A big death ball through B-main. They choose to play proactive again. Reformed and Paint though, they bought up. They have the utility and the ultimates to do so.
Scout destroyed.
It is a scary prospect. But one that Thinking Men are not breaking to. They really are stalwart when it comes to the defense, no matter where they're at in the game.
Really just giving themselves time to prep for a plan to execute on the A here for the split push. Scrubble Bubble discovered. Backs away. Snakebite control from Reformed. No snakebites available.
Scout destroyed.
Trap wires need to be cleared for this flank, so it's going to be picked up on by Resonate. The Viper's pit by Reformed. And this is actually a great position because these three members in showers are quite stuck. Unless Resonate wants to switch it up. Yeah, everyone has not given themselves away, so there's easy potential to rotate. 35 seconds on the board here. Instead, they'll snake through. Kaho gives themselves away, but Anderson can't connect. 30 seconds now. Resonate need to act, but they have a lot of presence on the remainder of the site, and Reformed shoulder's been spotted! Terrible positioning in the pit.
Oh no,
Leads
Paint!
to easy punishment. Paint trying to waltz in, finds the kill. TP into Phyllis! What a combo to get rid of the presence and the spike run. Both factors of Resonate's attack suddenly torn to shreds, and Thinking Men hold on for an eighth.
I was about ready to say that Thinking Men that had such a misposition there with Paint. He waited the whole round just outside his space, waiting for that rotate the last second to B-main for the plant to go down. And by the time he started rotating for the flank, already we'd seen that rotate from the Brimstone. Velos falls. What a beautiful highlight there.
That is, yeah, you... Hi, Twitter.
Yeah. I mean, only Paint could get away with stuff like that. 9 times out of 10.
Bro.
That's a Paint moment right there. Big turnaround. Remember, Paint was 12 and 21 last map. Now he's 21 and 14.
And he wants to make it more. He's watching early on Hookah right now. Just wants to see if anybody gets too aggro out the gate, but that has not been the case so far. Some showers again. Kaho and KHS testing the waters, but it's pretty cold right now. Might have to come back later when the rest of Resonate's ready. After they will scope out short again. Some early util burn this time. Smoke thrown out a lot earlier from the push now. As well as a Dizzy early on here. So Thinking Men, a good amount expended that is getting given away to Resonate here. The flank is beginning, and there are no longer any trap wires here in market, but that might just be because Resonate expects this flank every round at this point. They'll begin the push. Paint shells thrown into the back. Covey to flush out Anderson. KHS will do the rest of that dirty work. But is anybody else from Thinking Men fallen? Not yet. Doesn't really matter, though. Resonate's able to take the first half of that site, and Thinking Men, they have to play by those bridges. But the flank is not watched at the perfect time for Paint and Reform to come in and each grab theirs. Now a huge high-flying Paint to grab that last kill and give Thinking Men just a 2-round deficit.
And it's all thanks to mostly the flank at the end there to be that safety net. And Resonate, they've started their round the same exact way every time. Their early game is a pure, non-tradable default, watching every single potential lane on this map, waiting for the push out from Thinking Men. And every single round they do that, there's been that responsive flank from Thinking Men that has not been caught until the very end. Timeout moment here. 2 rounds needed to match up with Resonate. This is entirely doable now. I mean, it's been doable to begin with here. That pressure, the skill diff issue, well, not skill diff, experience diff is coming to fruition. And you cannot succumb to the pressure if you resonate. And honestly, their A executes have been really, really nice. There hasn't been any utility really from Thinking Men's defense that has stopped Resonate from getting that spike down. Big reason why they've been able to keep this economy afloat, despite the fact they've lost the last 2 rounds. Now, Lear does have those Seekers. Might not be necessary to go for a giant flank this round if you have that info to be gathered. That also means it'll be more difficult for Resonate to do any shenanigans as the round goes on. This should be a straight shot from Resonate. They have to push in fast. They can't do any funny business. If anything, this means it's a promotion to B-side now.
Kaho unable to get that rifle as well. So options for both of these teams, definitely a way out for either of them at this point, but Thinking Men have made their path a lot brighter in the last 2 rounds. And like you said, a lot of ways to open up the flank, the back line, the reinitiation, whatever you want to call it. Anderson can go wherever he wants. Lear can find whoever he wants. And Conti's got to win this fight. Ooh, okay. Not losing it. Paint will be forced to let go of that Roomba and just see if anybody else is there. Resonate.
Backtrack.
Backing up for a moment. This is good. This is a lot of space already taken to potentially rotate. Yeah, Conti, don't take the long one, buddy. Come on.
Resonate are waiting for Lear's Seekers to come out as bait. They want to shoot them down earlier than later and then rotate back to the opposite site. Look at that roam from Conti. The lurk here in Showers will be gigantic and tell the entire story if he finds distance. And that way, Resonate, they're looking to take teleport control. The op misses, that's huge.
Yeah, having to duck back here, and this could lead to some heavy aggression from Resonate. The smoke tossed in response. Andrew just hopping right in. Lear unchecked, taking a millennium to get ready to shoot, though, and so Andrew takes that moment. And now Anderson's mega alone until that TP's finalized. 2 through Hookah, but KHS is laying in wait. Grabs his now, too. And the TP to
gets away?
Again. That's what was really going on. Conti was able to open up A-side in the meantime, but Reform the opening frag coming from behind. Andrew can shut that down now too. And now a 2v4 that Conti is watching very close on. Vix doesn't see it coming. And Scrubble Bubble will now be forced to a certain round for Resonate, as Anderson has no real way to fight this. Match point for the Premier squad. Winning this would mean that we will absolutely get a changing of the guard. At least one of the teams that is relegated from Split 1 will not make it to Split 2 if Thinking Men do not hold on.
It's a 1-round difference. Marvelously played round from Resonate there. The fact that Conti was able to take so much space is exactly what Reformed was supposed to do back on the attack, but never could. Thanks to the hands of KHS shutting it down with the camera. Distance has been found, and Resonate have kept that ace up their sleeve up until now. They could go for the lurk anytime, and Thinking Men, they're forced to hold those Showers in A-main positions to avoid that lurk again. That means B will permanently be weaker now. They could wait out these flashes all they want. That's one. Maybe a second can come through. Thrash on top as well. They've identified only 2.
And this orbital strike thrown onto potentially Reformed. The Seekers launched out from Lear. Guarantees everyone in Hookah. The dog will re-clear sand as well, Thinking them throwing a lot into the pot to make sure that Resonate can't get immediately aggressive here. But it means that there's no real kill, no real damage done just yet. Instead, Resonate, they can just turn tail, check out where else is potentially able to be opened, and look who's going to stay put. Conti, hanging around in Hookah, waiting for the potential TP to open things up. A little just in case. Break in case of emergency.
That's top frag gone.
Toxins going up.
Still got to contribute something to Showers here. Anderson's going to get confirmed in Showers. And so Vix, the work must be done on site. Dizzy tossed in, guaranteeing 3 on the spike. That's huge. Now you know that last one has to be in Showers, or at least was.
2v2.
2 for 2, 2v2 now for the post plant, which again, late, but there.
No one has util.
Just in time for the rest of the team to come on back, but Lear
One
has
left.
no opening. Reform does not win it. This looks done. Lear has to win the 1v2. Spotted already from Link. How do you get this done?
I'm out of stuff.
Bellis watching first, doesn't fully win. Lear has to rotate it. Too much to watch. And Resonate take map 3, the match, and the easy access to the winner's bracket. They will face off against Blinn for our first of 2 relocation spots.
Very poetic that the last person alive to bring down to the elimination bracket is the player that has caused, well, maybe not necessarily caused issues, but has been a point of interest with being brought on, removed, and being brought on again. Relegation now potentially possible for Thinking Men, and I can't stress enough, I did not think Resonate would be able to put up such a fight like this, let alone win.
Yeah, this was really some spectacular work done by Resonate. They have been in the lab, and all of their players look to be on fire. Luckily, now they're just warming up. They have another match to play, and it is one to get them into that echelon for the first time, into VCL Split 2, as well as, of course, that mid-season tournament in that 1 seed. Both these teams, both Thinking Men and Blinn College, will now have 2 opportunities to do that.
Gigantic here. Again, the biggest tournament so far for all of these players. A lot of them collegiate alum. They've been able to do so much in that sphere of valor, but this is a whole new world.
Really impressive work by both of these teams, for that matter. Thinking Men, they look great after everything. They look like they have been working on a lot of different things, but none of it looks to have fully come to fruition just yet. Their pool still looks a little too narrow. Their playbook still looks a little too thin. Hopefully that will not continue and bleed into their game against the Blazers. They need to be online.
13 first bloods coming out from Resonant side. And again, Thinking Men, they needed to convert those every single round. And while they got 9, that's great. It's Resonate that was able to capitalize on that so much more. They did their homework against Thinking Men, and Bind was the best possible example that we could see. The small mistakes that Thinking Men made continued on into these matchups. The coordination, sure, was there about what they wanted to do, but playing around with each other, sometimes there was a lot of misses.
And shout out to Andrew for facilitating a lot of those openers. 6 first bloods for him. And this time around, you really saw it. He was very much more willing to be that opener because you had some flashes with him. He was a lot more willing to get into that fight, and he took a lot more with him on the way down rather than just dying and letting the rest of the team take control. Really, really amazing work, particularly on those pistols. Andrew looked dangerous. I'm excited to watch him some more.
Yeah, I mean, this has been a really surprising squad for me too, especially Andrew here, because we saw the initial double dive coming out on Split, and I'm like, I don't know about this anymore. And they didn't put up the best performance in the world, but maybe that's where the nerves came in from. They were very disconnected from each other and what the plan from Thinking Men was at the beginning, but by the end of Split and through all the other maps, they really got activated and woke up.
Well, they better be awake because they have another match to play. Thinking Men and the Glazers have a break. They'll be playing tomorrow in the first of 2 elimination matches. One of those teams is not making it back to the mid-season cup. But one of the teams that will get to watch, Blinn Esports and Resonate, will be making it to the mid-season cup and Challengers Split 2. And it takes one more series that we will go through after this break.